This is the concierge, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Concierge Confidential. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and guess what? We haven't done one of these in quite a while, but we're hitting it. We're hitting a hotel I haven't done before, and I'm doing a new hotel highlight. With today, we're going to be highlighting the Resorts World of Las Vegas. So this is a very large property. A lot to talk about this property. It's very interesting, kind of, eclectic and sort of divisive, depending on who you ask. So this is one of the newer hotels on the Strip. It's actually, I think, the second newest hotel, being built after the Cosmopolitan and then before Fontainebleau. And I think Circa was sort of like sandwiched in between there somewhere. So we're going to be talking about Resorts World, including all the offerings in terms of restaurants, shows, and really good cocktail bars that they have there as well. So we're going to be doing a hotel highlight on Resorts World. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and dive into our hotel highlight today, which is Resorts World. So Resorts World itself actually has been a very long project that took quite a while to actually get finished. It's funny, when I first moved to Las Vegas, I went to school and I worked as a tour guide. And when I was a tour guide, I actually saw this hotel being just a vacant lot with a couple like abandoned buildings and sort of the skeleton of what it would be. And then it was called Echelon Place at that point, and then changed hands a couple times. It actually started getting built, and then it became the fabulous Resorts World. I believe I was done tour guiding by the time Resorts World was finished, but they did start moving dirt and stuff around at the end of my tenure as a tour guide. As a tour guide, I was actually on a big bus tour every single day, so you would see it just as part of sort of the fabric of the city, was being an unfinished property. And same thing with Fontainebleau. Like, Fontainebleau had just been sitting there for so long that was just, it's just been sitting there. Really crazy that they were able to finish it. It's just wild to think about the north end of the Strip and how far it's sort of come at this point. So Resorts World is taking over the place of what was called the Frontier, and then the New Frontier at some point. It really wasn't finished until 2021 is when it actually opened. This is just after COVID, so this would have been after when Circa would have opened. But it opened, and it's a huge property. It's quite massive. It boasts the second largest video screen in the world. That's after the Sphere. It's kind of funny. I actually clicked on this on Wikipedia just to check and see. Vegas actually has the 3 largest LED boards or LED screens in the entire world. They have the top 3. They have the Sphere is number 1. They have the Resorts World screen, and then they have Fremont Street, which is downtown, which is interesting. But Resorts World itself is gigantic. It has over 3,000 rooms, 3,500. 3 hotels are actually encapsulated inside of Resorts World. That would include the Las Vegas Hilton. So I have to get these down. So Las Vegas Hilton at Resorts World, Conrad, which is at the Resorts World as well, and Crockford's. So Crockford's is the top tier at Resorts World. That's where it gets their own check-in desk, their own valet, their own lobby. All the stuff is only theirs. Haven't stayed at Crockford's room, but my brother has, and he said he loved it. But it is really cool. You do get your own entrance. It has its own door. It's a very high-end experience. But with that being said, three hotels technically inside this big giant building. Really what sets Resorts World apart is just how huge the casino floor itself is. It's gigantic. This property has many, many restaurants. Another one of their major things when they opened was that they had this sort of street food style food court, which really was sort of like the beginning of this ultra luxury or luxury food hall option, which again, this actually made a lot of sense coming out of COVID. And of course they had to have this all built before then, but this is obviously in the plan that this was going to be a sort of, like a Singapore style food market, essentially, was what it is. Obviously, it's been westernized. It's been made to be like a food court itself. And they've changed over the years. There's been a lot of different places. They were much more like Asian leaning when they first opened. This property, by the way, should be noted that it's owned by Genting Casinos, which is an East Asian integrated resort company. By the way, fun fact, in college or hotel school, they teach you that the term integrated resort is just a fancy way of saying hotel with casino. The reason for this is that even though there's a lot of gamblers who come from Asia, it's really looked down upon in the Far East to gamble. It's actually one of the things that is restricted depending on like local jurisdictions. Like if you go to places like Macau or like Singapore, you have to show your ID, and if you are a local, some places may not let you gamble in their establishments. So it's actually like part of the law. So it's one of those interesting things that they get around. So a lot of places in the Far East will call a casino with a hotel an integrated resort. Integrated just is a fancy word for gaming on the inside. So anyways, so this property itself is owned by Genting Casinos. So a lot of the stuff on the inside tends to be sort of Asian themed. So they would have this Asian market, which had a lot, excuse me, had a lot of different like Asian inspired food court stuff. So they would have like chicken yakitori, they had hot pot. They would also have a lot of stuff that had that was like duck, which was really good. They also have like a pig station, which was delicious. And of course they had like barbecue and like sushi and things of that nature. They've really expanded in the past couple of years, knowing that they need to diversify because a lot of the stuff was very similar. And if you didn't want Asian cuisine, then you were kind of stuck. So they ended up keeping the pork place. They kept the duck place, which was very good. They've branded the chicken yakitori place as being Steve Aoki's Yakitori, really, really popular. But now they have things like fish and chips, burgers. They have a place that does fish and chips, burgers, sandwiches, and they have a salad place that's really delicious. I really like their like made-to-order salad spot. But you have to be careful when you go to Resorts World because if you go during the daytime, this is very annoying. If you go during the daytime, like on a weekday, and who knows if it's been fixed, the food court areas are not open. So a lot of the food hall spots will not be open during the midday, this happened like a lot during when they were doing like a lot of layoffs and stuff and didn't really have that stuff figured out. So hopefully they've had it fixed. I haven't visited in quite a while because of this reason. But if you go in the evenings, obviously they're going to be open and ready to go. Another sort of a big innovation for Resorts World is that they were really going to be a really plugged-in casino, that they were going to have a lot of no-touch payment options, so that would mean no cash. They also have like this really innovative idea where you actually order off of these like stands, and then you order it, it goes to that particular stand because there were so many, and then they would ring your phone, and then that's how you knew when to go pick up your food. They still do that. You can still order like actually at the stand itself. Really a couple different ways to do it. You're able to do your valet. That was actually a big deal for Las Vegans because I know when you go to places like Los Angeles or like San Francisco that have valet at the hotels, you can actually call down for your room or you can order it by your phone, and then it'll tell you like when you're there. Although I've never even seen that actually at other places that, oh, your car is here. Although a lot of places have sort of innovated and done that. Resorts World was the first one that I saw that actually would ping you, like you'd call your valet from your phone, so you just like an app, and then they would bring it up, and then your car was ready. So that was very interesting. You do have to pay for parking now. Back in the day, it was complimentary. Now you do have to pay for valet. Very unfortunate. It comes for us all. But Resorts World itself, very large property, lots of Asian cuisine, but they do have also a lot of other cuisine as well in terms of steakhouses. They have sit-down restaurants that include Italian cuisine. They have places that are actually more like fusion style, like Fuyu, and they have a couple other places that just opened which are vegan. They have a prime rib sandwich place, and then they also have a Michelin chef restaurant. So we'll go through all like the restaurants and stuff as we go through. But really funny story about when Resorts World opened. So Resorts World opened, and we were all very, very excited. I think I showed up the day that it opened, after all the pageantry and such. Showed up, and I was very nervous because when I showed up to Resorts World, I wasn't nervous, but I was just curious to see how this was going to work. Because it was after COVID, everybody was worried about, germs and touching things. So everyone was really bought in on this idea that everything was going to be, digital. So you don't have to, use cash money, or you still use chips, but there was a way to kind of do it without that. But anyways, they were really proud that they were going to be a cashless resort. Cashless resort. You get there, I went and I had lunch at the place that's no longer there. It's now like a vegan restaurant, and had like a burger and fries. And they said, our system is down. Would you be able to pay with cash? And thank God I did have cash on me that I was able to actually pay cash for my meal. It was just so funny that they were just really, and all week long, like weeks before they opened, they kept telling people, yeah, we're cashless, we're cashless, we're cashless. And then, boom, you guys open and all of your machines don't work. So that was hilarious to me. Since then, they are now very much just like any other property that they take cash, card, whatever. One of the unique things that they actually brought in, and this is a very common thing that is in other places, not in Las Vegas, you can actually get a player's card, just like everybody else. The only difference is that you can actually add money onto your player's card. So when you go to a table game or you go to a slot machine, you can put your card in and actually use digital money to play the slot machine or get chips at the table. The table still requires you to take chips out to gamble. So it is one of those unique things that is very common in other places. Hasn't really made it to Las Vegas. They're really the only property that does that. They are one of the only properties, or they were the first property that actually has ATM machines at the table. So they actually have an ATM machine like right on, sort of like a credit card machine. You would get it sort of like a restaurant. But what'll happen is you'll basically take money out, or you'll say, I want to take out $300. It'll print out a receipt. That receipt will then go to the dealer, and the dealer will end up, giving you chips. So, yes, it could be very destructive, but it's convenient for some people. I've never done that because I swear I would never do that, but it is possible. So yes, there are some sort of safeguards. Like you do have to go to the ATM like a normal ATM. It's not just like you could put your credit card in and gamble as much as you want. That would be quite dangerous. Hopefully that doesn't ever happen. So that was very interesting the first time that they came out. A really important thing to note about Resorts World is that if you have a player's card, you do get to park for free. So whenever you do go to Resorts World, and if it's your first time, go ahead and park in the self-parking garage, and then make sure you get a player's card, because a player's card will allow you to park for free for as much time as you want in the self-parking. I also made sort of the mistake when I used to go that there is sort of like an auxiliary parking structure. Do not go to that one. That one's sort of really far away. It's a really far walk. You have to enter through like the backside of the hotel, so on Industrial or Sammy Davis Jr. Boulevard, right across the street from Sapphires. And then that is actually where there's a parking structure that's connected to the hotel, that then from there you can just walk straight into the hotel. Much safer, not a very long walk. It's great. So with that being said, let's dive into the hotel itself. I think the hotel is actually beautiful on the inside. I think it's really, really pretty, especially the part that is in the center part of the casino, which is the gaming floor. The gaming floor is really, really nice. It does have a center bar, which I forget what the name of the center bar is. It's sort of one of those generic names like The Rock or something silly. But it is in the center. I don't actually drink there very often because I actually prefer to drink at the High Limit bar, which coincidentally is like right next to it. It's just in the High Limit area where the High Limit Gaming is. I like their cocktails more there. They also have video poker on the tables. I'm not a huge fan of that, but you do what you got to do. Very popular, by the way. The video poker at Resorts World in the High Limit is probably one of the most popular places to play video poker, and they say that it tends to hit very frequently in that area. So the more you know. So I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm just on their website because I want to make sure that I get these names right because I'm very bad at that. It's called the Baccarat Bar. That's so interesting. Oh, that's in that area. So interesting. So as we kind of go through, it's a very large property. Again, it's going to be a little bit of a walk whenever you're trying to get to one end or the other. But the center bar itself is called the Crystal Bar. And the Crystal Bar is really cool. It's very like modern. It's really a good place to sort of meet other people or meet your group, especially if you guys are going to be going out and doing something like that, or you want to pregame. This is a good place to sort of people watch, get what the vibe is going. A lot of pretty girls there. Be careful. Sometimes they're working. But that's a nice little area to sit down and look around. I like to sit, again, right across from it at the High Limit Bar, which I don't know if it has a name because who knows. This place actually has really good bars on the inside. They do have Gatsby. I'm not a huge fan of Gatsby's. Gatsby's is a cocktail lounge that has very fun cocktails, very Instagrammable cocktails. A lot of women like to hang out here because they like the music, and it's kind of open. I really had high hopes for Gatsby's when it first came out. Like, this is what's inside the hotel. And I love the name. Gatsby's as a cocktail bar is just a really cool name. But when you get there itself, it's actually kind of out in the open, which I don't like bars like that just because you're kind of limited. You're kind of on display for everybody to see. And they have these big giant balls that are on top of it. There's lots of private events that end up there. So I don't know. Gatsby's to me is, I don't want to say overrated, but I'm not a huge fan of Gatsby's itself. But it's a fun place to have a fun cocktail and to be seen and see other people. And maybe have a pre-nightclub drink because it's on the way to the nightclub itself. One other place I haven't been to yet, but I've passed by, is the Golden Monkey Tiki Lounge. This place looks great. I'd highly recommend checking it out, especially if you like fruity cocktails or tiki drinks. Really cool on the inside. They have really cool glasses. Whenever you go to a tiki bar, half of the fun is having a fun, cool glass, and Golden Monkey has lots of cool ones. But a place that I really enjoy, which is actually one of the better speakeasies in town, and our first one on the list, is Here Kitty Kitty. It's called Here Kitty Kitty Vice Den. So to get to this speakeasy, the Kitty Kitty Lounge or Den, it used to be much more secretive, but it's a little bit easier now. So you're going to walk like you're going to the food market. So the food market itself, you'll see where it's at. There's sort of a main walkway. And then there is a hostess stand. It's the only hostess stand inside of the marketplace. You're going to walk up to the hostess. You'll say how many people you are. You're there for the, kitty kitty or Here Kitty Kitty. There's no password. And then she'll take you towards the back if there's room. They'll open up a big giant wall that has a bunch of cats that are doing they're like the traditional lucky cat thing. It'll open up the wall, and then you're into this beautiful dark speakeasy. Really great for dates. It's, again, perfect size for, I think, a speakeasy. Really good cocktails. They have these really cool cocktails that actually have little paws, which are really fun. So I really enjoy Kitty Kitty as a speakeasy. It's really fantastic. So again, that one's located in the food market area at Resorts World. So they also have 8 Cigar Lounge, which is a cigar lounge, of course. It's a really good place to watch sports if you don't mind being around cigars. It's great if there's only one game going on, like Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football. If you're trying to sit there and watch a whole 11-game slate, it's a little bit tough because there's not as many TVs to accommodate that, so I don't recommend it for a whole Sunday of viewing. Speaking of which, their sports book, which is located kind of near the Valet and also kind of near their theater, it's not the greatest sports book. I think it's actually one of the not good sports books in town. It's also operating on its own, so they don't have really good odds in terms of what they're able to offer. It is connected to a country bar called it's called the Doghouse, which actually is a really great place to go if you want to listen to country music. Super, super popular during the NFR weekend. I think it's going to be really great, especially whenever NFR is in town. They have a really great stage for any live bands, and it is a nice little sort of open bar if you're going to be getting beers or that kind of thing. But it's very laid back, very chill. I think it's probably one of their signature things on property for sure. So yeah. So as we kind of move through the property itself, most of the tables at this property are going to be 15 or more. You can usually find a $15 blackjack table. Sometimes you'll find $15 craps. It just depends on the day. They have a lot of crapless craps tables, which I don't enjoy. But other than that, when you get up to more busy times of the year, they're going to be 25 or more regular craps and crapless craps tables as well. They also have lots of Buffalo machines, really great selection of slot machines. I would highly recommend this for anybody who's coming to town that wants to go to a property that has lots of unique and varied choices for slot machines. Resorts World is a great place. It's very maneuverable. It's all flat. It's all on one level. So if you're going to be coming and you maybe need handicap accessibility, this is a really great choice just because you go straight, right, turn around, straight, left, whatever you want. You don't have to go up and down any big areas. But it's really easy. And there's not too many turns and such. So lots of space for you to be able to maneuver if you are in a handicap sort of situation. They also have this thing called the Beamy Bar. I've never been to it because it's at the pool, so never been to the pool there, fortunately. They do have a really cool pool that's sort of like an infinity pool that looks out to the strip. It's quite nice. So I think I've hit most of the bars as I've kind of looking through here. They do have a Red Tail, which is also kind of a restaurant. So this might be a good little sort of, might be a good transition into the restaurant phase. Red Tails is sort of like their hybrid, ultra viewing area for sports. They usually have really good deals for UFC fights, football event, NFL, college football, really much more geared towards having groups rent out a space. Again, the Super Bowl, it's a huge deal for Red Tails. Not bad. They actually have really good viewing. They have big giant games. They have a lot of stuff for, I would say, people in their 20s, 30s. I feel like once you start getting into your 40s and 50s, you might be getting over a couple of things that they have available. But Red Tails is actually a really great place if you want something casual. It's on its way to Zouk. Zouk, which is the nightclub. So this is a very common place to sort of hang out before you end up going into the into the nightclub. So speaking of the restaurants, let's go ahead and talk about some of their options that they do have here. So one of probably the most popular things they have at Resorts World is their restaurant collection, and one of them being is it's not Fuyu. It's Fuyu. So Fuyu is really popular with bachelorettes. Groups of girls like to hang out there. Beautiful people like to hang out there. It's honestly one of the most basic places you can ever go at Resorts World. But it's small plates. It's everything that you need sort of before you go to a nightclub. That's not going to get you too full. But Fuyu is a really nice little restaurant. Really fun, very vibey, good cocktails, but small plates. So think small plates when you go to Fuyu. Good for sharing. Highly recommend it if you're in a big group and going to the nightclub. It's great. They do have Brezza, which Brezza is their Italian restaurant. I've been there. They have pretty good pasta. That's pasta bolognese, which is quite good. I've also had quail there, which was pretty tasty and very interesting. You don't get as much food when you order quail, I found out. But Brezza's nice. I think it's sort of middle tier. I'm going to sort of just go on a limb and tell everybody that, to me, Mother Wolf is the standard for Italian food in Las Vegas. It is the absolute best. Sorry guys, I have allergies, so sometimes you'll hear me cough. I do apologize for that. So Brezza is definitely a couple steps down from Mother Wolf itself. It's just missing that little panache. It does feel a little bit corporate, but it's not bad. Nice little room. I enjoy the room itself. I think a lot of the restaurants here actually have really good spaces. So, and it's sort of very interesting. One of the things which we'll probably talk about later, a couple critiques on Resorts World itself. But right next to Brezza is probably my favorite restaurant on property. This is my favorite restaurant at Resorts World, and that is Carver Steak. Carver Steak is absolutely phenomenal. I think it's one of the best steakhouses in Las Vegas because it delivers on a fantastic experience. The thing is with steakhouses, and you guys have seen me, I haven't gone to a lot of steakhouses lately because they're all the same. They all taste the same. And when I say this, I had this argument with people at work, is that yes, I can tell a difference between a Texas Roadhouse steak and a steak from Smith & Wollensky or Carver Steak. But when it comes down to it, between a place like Carver Steak and let's just say, I don't know, Prime at the Bellagio or SW at the Wynn. Maybe I could, but you can't really tell the difference. They're all $75, $80 steaks, and they're kind of as good as you can make them, to be honest. So to me, it's a little bit of a waste when you have to go spend $80 for these steaks and you can't get all the other little trimmings. Because again, you can make steak at home. But the reason you don't eat steak at home all the time is because you want the full steakhouse experience, whether it's old school like Golden Steer, or you go to a place, say, like Michael's, which has all these extra trimmings and all the service. You go to have an amazing experience. And I really do have that with Carver Steak. I love the room. I love the sort of like classic modern feel of the place. It has this very unique sort of umami feel of like the room itself, not even like getting to the food yet. Love the bar, big giant bar, great place to sit and eat because it's big, it's nice, and it's accessible. But when you get into the actual room itself, it's actually a very nice little room too. They have a nice little sort of semi-outdoor area, which is really nice, especially looking out to the strip. And the menu itself is actually quite large, but very approachable. They have very unique things on the menu, and they also have very familiar things on the menu that you're able to attack. Like they have a New York strip, they have a ribeye, you can get an Australian Wagyu if you want, they have lobster if you want, they have chicken, of course, lamb chops. But some of my favorite things at Carver Steak is not the actual entrees, it's the appetizers. I love their pork belly, it's delicious. They also have this wonderful appetizer, which I think, honestly, top 3 appetizer in all of Las Vegas. Top 3. And this would be their Wagyu cheesesteak bites. They are so good. They are delicious. You usually get 3 of them. They're about they're about $25. Completely worth it. They're so good every single time. They are like on this brioche bun with these slices of steak inside of it with cheese. Absolutely phenomenal. Love it. I would highly recommend, if you go to Carver Steak, that is one thing you have to put on the menu that you have to try. The salads themselves are pretty good. The salads are good. It's fine. Really good sides. I do like the sides here. Pommes puree. They have really good vegetable options if you want to. And they have a loaded baked potato if you want to do a baked potato here. It's a pricey restaurant. It's a steakhouse. I would say per person, you're probably looking about $125, $130 per person. Of course, you can whittle that down if you're, not getting as many sides, if you're not getting a cocktail, that can come down. But most of their steaks are going to be in that like $75 to like $100 range. Maybe even more than that if you get like the Wagyu, of course. That's going to be a totally different price range. But Carver Steak, absolutely phenomenal. And also, the experience itself is just really fun. All the waiters and waitresses and staff is really fantastic. They have a cool martini cart that has actually like sort of rolled around, which just makes you want to drink something because you just want to see them do stuff. Those are little touches. Those little touches that make the actual experience really out of this world. I also, what do I like there? My goodness. Oh, of course. How could I forget? And of course, you can find a video that I went to Carver Steak on my Instagram page, Concierge Confidential _LV, if you want to see what I'm talking about. But they bring out this like box, and this box on the outside says choose your weapon. And then they present it, they open up the box, and those are all the knives that you get to choose from for your steak. It used to be a much more theatrical thing that they would explain, like, this knife is good for filet, this knife is really good if you're doing like something like a ribeye because it's, the strands or whatever, or they make it up, who knows. But they're all unique knives you get to use for your dinner. So that was always a fun little touch. Does it actually make the steak taste better? No, but it makes me remember the experience and it makes me want to go there again. So I think they're doing a fantastic job at Carver Steak. So really enjoy Carver Steak. A lot of these places I haven't gone to because they actually have a lot of them. They have Aqua, which is their new bar and lounge. They do a lot of raw stuff. They do a lot of seafood, obviously. Bar Zazu, never been there. So again, sorry, it's European chic is what it says. Copper Sun, haven't been there. Crossroads was actually a restaurant that I'd been to first, but they've changed the concept where it is now a Mediterranean Italian and it's fully plant-based. So for those of you that are vegan or vegetarian, Crossroads would be a really good choice for you. because everything they have is plant-based. Again, I can't tell if you're gluten-free or not. But just keep that in mind. Crossroads is a place you might think about going. One place that I've really wanted to go is Genting Palace. Is their Asian cuisine, and it's like very high-end Chinese, and they do Peking duck. They also have dumplings. Really dumplings are really kind of like their go-to. But again, Peking duck is sort of one of their signatures. But Genting Palace is a really pretty restaurant on the inside. Highly recommend it if you want to have a family style meal, but are not afraid of that like sort of higher price point. And again, sharing is encouraged. Also, a couple other places that I haven't been to is Kusa Nori, which is their sushi restaurant, their sushi bar. Pretty much very approachable in terms of pricing, but a really nice, pretty little restaurant. It looks out to the casino. They also have Viva, which is sort of like one of the marquee restaurants that right when you get into like their promenade, you see. I don't like the menu. And again, this is me being Mexican, and I'm kind of particular about like things that are on menus for Mexican restaurants. And if I don't like it or I think it's too expensive, I'm not going to go there. And I think Viva is quite pricey for what you are getting there, but it is, vibey, and people do like the way it looks on the inside. It's very opens up to the promenade. One place that I have been is Stubborn Seed. Stubborn Seed is one of their new restaurants by their Michelin-starred chef, who is also on Top Chef. And I actually ate there twice, sat at the bar, and the experience there was really, really good. Their chef is Jeremy Ford, who was on, again, Top Chef, and this, I think, is one of his first restaurants that he's opened. And it's good. I like it. If you want sort of an elevated dining experience, I think Stubborn Seed is something that you're looking for if you want like modern American cuisine. And it's a beautiful little restaurant, and I think it's a nice little space. They have outdoor seating, but really you want to be on the inside. Another place, Wally's, is very popular. Probably of all the influencers that come into Las Vegas, Wally's is always a stop. A lot of the LA people, because I think it's an LA brand, really enjoy Wally's for their like California casual cuisine, like burgers, salads, lots of salads on the menu, and of course their huge selection of wine on the inside. That's interesting. They have this thing called Agave Bar and Grill. Oh, it's poolside. Haven't been there. So another thing they got going on here, they have Junior's. Junior's is their oh my goodness, it's a prime rib sandwiches. Junior's is known for its New York style, and they have cheesecake. That's another thing on their menu, and of course their sandwiches. They're really known for their sandwiches. Junior's is not bad. I actually would highly recommend that, especially if you want something casual. Not bad. They also do have Mulberry Pizza. If you're somebody who's from Los Angeles or New York, Mulberry Street Pizza. They actually have one in, I think Beverly Hills is actually where they're from. I think I actually ate there when I went to Pasadena, and I had a pizza from there. It was delicious. This place is great. Large slices, really very casual. Okay, so we've talked about the casino. We've talked about the pool, the bars, excuse me. The pools themselves, actually a nice little pool complex. I have seen it. Just didn't jump in the pool. But nice pool complex, really nice view of the Strip. It's great. A lot of the hotels have their own pools themselves. So like Crockford's has access to its specific pool. And then you also have the Hilton and the Conrad will typically have access to both pools at that point. So let's get to their theater. Their theater is actually quite nice. They do have a lot of great performances that go through there. I had gone there once. I ended up going and seeing Hans Zimmer, the composer, who is kind of like in charge of like the latest and most awesome soundtracks of the 21st century. He's the man. Their theater itself is actually located right by the parking structure. So if you park at the parking structure at Resorts World, it is the fastest way to get to the theater itself, other than maybe valet parking. They do make you line up before the show starts, and it can be quite a long line. So it's a little bit of an arduous process to actually have to go in and out of this space. So I don't know, just keep that in mind. They don't have a lot of regulars. They do have Shane Gillis coming to town, which that's very, very cool. Depending on which, how you feel about his comedy. But yes, he's coming to town. They also have lots of conventions here, so just always be kind of on the lookout for when they have conventions. Yeah, sorry guys, I didn't have this pulled up for like their actual regular performers, because right now it doesn't look like they have anybody performing regularly. But this is where Katy Perry performed for a very long time. It's also where Carrie Underwood performed for a long time. But yeah, I'm not seeing anybody that is performing right now that is a regular. But they do have a pretty good selection of comedians that come in. Really big shows, obviously, like we just said. But it is a very nice theater. And once you're in the theater itself, it's pretty easy to maneuver, and it's only like sort of like the one level. So they have like maybe 2-3 sections that go back. Other than that, they also have Zouk Nightclub. The nightclub itself is fine. It's not my favorite nightclub. I've been there a couple times. It used to have this really cool, fun wall when you would walk in. It was just all these bright lights that were really great for like selfies and pictures and that kind of thing. They took them out. So no more good, fun pictures. No good lighting. But once you get in, it's sort of like this sort of flat sort of floor. There's not really a view to look out anywhere. You're really in the nightclub itself. Does have this sort of like flat, this flat structure that will lower onto the dance floor and move and change colors, and sort of a ripoff of what they have over at Omnia, which then Hakkasan ripped off its own property by having their own edition inside of Hakkasan nightclub. But that's neither here nor there. They typically have a lot of different types of lots of different types of DJs. It used to be really fun, like when you used to be able to decipher, like the Win would have lots of pop and very popular DJs. So you'd have like Diplo. You would have people like David Guetta, who'd play very popular EDM music, and then you would have places like the Palms when they had their nightclub. It played like really like EDM heavy, like Deadmau5 and that kind of, and Zed, very electronic dance music. And then you'd have places like Hakkasan and Omnia that would have the super pop stars. You would have people like Benny Benassi, Calvin Harris. You'd have, oh my goodness, Martin Garrix. You'd have the really, really hot DJs were there. Now they're all just mixed in because Hakkasan owns everybody, so what can you do? They also have a day club, IU, which I think is actually quite small, but they have beautiful cocktail waitresses. That's always nice. But I haven't been to that day club, so I can't give you my recommendation on the day club at Resorts World. I can't even fake it, so sorry. Excuse me. They do have a very nice spa. I've been told that Resorts World Spa is actually one of the nicest spas in Las Vegas. And one of the reasons being is that it is co-ed. You're able to do co-ed at Resorts World. My insider, i.e. my oldest brother, really likes the Resorts World Spa. One, because you're able to get really good massages, obviously really nice treatments, but you're also able to commingle with other people. Not that my brother does that because he's married, but it is nice to know that it is a co-ed spa, which most spas in Las Vegas, it's important to note, most spas in Las Vegas are not co-ed. Most of them are, they sometimes have co-ed areas, but the entire thing is co-ed, which it's quite nice. We could look at their services menu. Let's do that because that's always fun. The one place you always want to start when you're looking at, this was kind of a funny thing that my mom, when she used to go to spas a lot, was like, look and make sure they have packages, which is true. Packages are really good ways to get a lot, the best bang for your buck, because it can be very, very expensive to actually do treatments by themselves. So always look and see if you can do a package, and that's always a good way to sort of minimize the cost for your spa treatments. And usually it does change depending on the day of the week. So for them, it does look like their prices for Tuesday and Wednesday are a certain price. And then Thursday through Monday will be a higher price for that same thing. So just keep that in mind. We're going to go to their massages. So their massage treatments, which again, if you're looking to get massages for any property, massages typically have two options. They will have a soft tissue, which that's a Swedish massage, or they'll have a customized pressure massage. They'll never have what's called deep tissue. It'll always be customized pressure. So if you're somebody who needs something with a little bit more pressure, obviously, or deep tissue, you would go for the customized pressure because they're able to sort of maneuver around all that. Their massage would be their massage would be 60 or 90 minutes. And for Thursday through Monday, which is prime time, would be $235 for a 60-minute, and for a 90-minute, it would be $335 for their sort of standard massage. I should also mention that when you do pay for these services, you do get access to the spa for the rest of the day. So if you get a service, you can then get access to the whole thing. You can also buy day passes for these things if you just want to use the spa itself, like a lot of like their pool areas, their saunas. You're able to pay for a day pass. But you can also do like, a head or shoulder massage and still get access again for the rest of the day to that as well. A Himalayan salt stone massage. Those are fun. And of course, for those of you that are really familiar with how massage treatments work, they also have additions that you can put to any one of their like full service massage treatments. So yeah, just make sure you just check through their couples massage. Oh my goodness, let's look at this. They have 2 types of couple massages. That's nice. If you're doing a couple, it's 120 minute, and for Thursday through Monday, it is $970 per couple. So that ends up being a good amount of money. It ends up being about $400 and some per person. You can do all the math because my mom doesn't like when I do math. So you can do it yourself. But it's cool. You do get that spa treatment for 120 minutes. I think my brother does that. It's like a 120-minute massage. That's a long time. That's a long movie. But yeah, they do have all those options. You usually are able to get, just double check this. You are able to get, when you go to the spa, they usually have a salon next to it, or it's all sort of lumped together. And they're able to do pedicures, manicures, and also you could do hair treatments, which is also typically in the salon or spa area. Salons in Vegas, really their bread and butter is like styling. They can do like a haircut and they can maybe do some color, but I mean, I think most women understand, this is me being a concierge coming in. I think most women understand that you're really not coloring your hair when you come to Vegas. Like, you're just not. It just takes so much time. It's really intensive. And I don't think they actually offer that, to be honest. I didn't even look, but I could not imagine. I'm sure they do. I'm sure it's very expensive, but it's a very long day. But most of the time, people are coming into salons to get their hair styled, and that for like an event in the evening or dinner or something of that nature. So yeah, I did actually talk to somebody who worked in a salon as a beautician, because I forgot the word for it, a stylist, if you will, and they said it's actually like one of the best jobs to have. You don't, because like really you're just sitting around all day. And if you're working at a good property, that's usually pretty busy. They worked at the Bellagio, and they would have clients all day long, just coming in, styling their hair for like an event or anything of that nature, and boom, there you go. But yeah, nothing like for a wedding. Like if you have a wedding that's on property, they might go to that salon and actually get your hair done and maybe your makeup. But yeah, they can do really anything at the salon, but it just takes time. They also, at some places, will do bikini waxes and such. I know we're kind of like long into this podcast, but this is one of my favorite stories to tell, is that I got a call from somebody who it was on the phone, and she said, hey, like, can I get forward to your spa? And the spa was like taking a super long time. So I said, I can book it for you. What we're looking to do. She said, I'm looking to book like a wax. And she's like, does your salon do waxes? And I said, yes, of course we do. And I was trying to be like as accommodating as possible. I was like, they can do a bikini wax, they can do, this kind of wax, whatever. So we do waxes. And then it took her a little while to where she got like really comfortable with me. And because first of all, she asked if there was any female concierge that can help her. And I looked around and they were all busy. So I was the one. So I'm going through this and I say what the price is going to be. And then she got really comfortable and she said, can they do a bikini wax? Can they do a Brazilian wax? And I said, yes, they do. And we had a price and everything for it and everything. So I was able to book her for her Brazilian wax. She was very excited, I think, as excited as you could be for a Brazilian wax. And we booked it. So that was a really fun experience that we kind of just had to talk through it together, and she had a good time. I also had a gentleman walk up one time and asked for, he's like, yeah, I want my girlfriend. He was like a former basketball player, and said, can you do like that thing with their hands? I was like, oh, like a manicure. He's like, oh yeah, that's for the hands, right? I said, yes, that's for the hands. It's a manicure. And they said, and I'm doing the thing, and I'm like, oh, it's like, it's. I think we charged. I think for a manicure it was like maybe $65, maybe $70. I'm kind of spitballing, but I want to say it was like $65 or $75 for a manicure, which I've been told is actually more expensive than a manicure would get on the outside or in like normal parts of the world. But yeah, that's how much it was. So he said, "Oh, that's for both hands or just one hand?" I was like, it's for both hands. Like, he kept throwing me off because I was like, man, I never thought about these questions. But yeah, a manicure, that price is for both hands. We're not going to do one hand and not leave the other one blank. So then he also asked, does that include the paint too? And this guy was just like, he was throwing me off with all these terms. I was like, yeah, it includes that too, because most people walk up and know exactly what they're getting. So yeah, so that was funny. So yeah, booking people's manicures and pedicures. It's always fun to talk about spa stuff. So I know we went a little bit of a tangent there, but that was the Resorts World Hotel highlight. I think Resorts World's quite a nice property. I forgot to, before I end, one of my favorite features about Resorts World is they have a beautiful rooftop bar. It's called Ali 66, which you go up in an elevator that goes straight to the top. And most of the time, there's no drink minimum or anything like that. It's very big, it's very airy, and you get beautiful shots of the Strip. You can also get a beautiful view of the sunset when it's going down, because you can also look to the west, and you can see the actual sunset going over the mountains. And it's honestly one of the best views of the city. I would actually rival that than like the Stratosphere. The Stratosphere itself is actually like kind of like a shitty view, and I would recommend Ali 66 is a beautiful place for cocktails. You can also eat there. They do like burgers and stuff, and of course get a beautiful view of the Strip looking north. So highly recommend Ali 66 on the top of Resorts World. So that was the hotel highlight for Resorts World Las Vegas. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I actually had a really good time kind of exploring the property like in my mind and just saying, hey, maybe I gotta go back there and just try it out one more time. But I really enjoyed it. So hopefully you guys will too if you want to go check it out. So make sure you check out Resorts World if you guys end up coming to Las Vegas. Also make sure to check and see if they have any sales going on. That's always a good thing as well. Make sure to follow me on all my socials, Concierge Confidential _LV, or my personal one, which is Brian _Ortega 26 for anything that's going on in my life. So anyways, thanks so much guys for listening. Hopefully I'll see you out in town. If you see me, come up and say hello. But remember, keep it confidential.